Businesses usually start exporting because they're trying to grow their market share, and often their UK market is probably they've reached their capacity that they can easily achieve. So they're going into new markets, maybe with a new product or a new service, gives them that opportunity to expand. Often they start in markets that are really close at hand. But I always think some of the more fascinating ways people export are the likes of Specsavers. Although they'd actually started off in one or two countries in Europe, they then made a big leap to take on Australia. But they used their personal contacts, optometrists that had been working in the United Kingdom when they'd come over to Europe for a year or two and they'd work part-time or on a temporary basis in their stores. They kept in touch. That personal contact meant they had people in Australia that could get them up and running on a very large scale, very quickly, who understood their culture, understood their brand, and could actually deliver a fantastic service very, very quickly. One of the great aspects of exporting means that it takes out all those cyclical issues that you can often have in your domestic market. So when there's a downturn in the domestic market, often there'll be an export market that hasn't got the same downturn that you have in the domestic market. That smooths out the trading cycle and makes businesses a lot more stable going forward. But of course, when you've got a worldwide potential to sell your services or your goods, it also means that the growth potential is enormous for your business. And that is something that every business wants to achieve. I always think that if you want to start exporting, you've got to do your research first. Make sure that you just don't go blindly. Now, UKTI have actually got a fantastic service. There you can get lots of market information, understand the risks of entering a new market, so that when you actually do make that leap, do make that major investment, you're actually doing it with as much knowledge and as much preparation as possible. My best bit of advice when you're going to start exporting is do your research. Make sure that you understand any potential markets that you're going to, understand the pitfalls, understand the risks. Make sure that you take good advice. UKTI, the British Council, do excellent services so that you can understand the size, the scale, the best customers, and all of those problems that you might find, so that when you do make that investment and do make that leap overseas, you're actually doing it with as much knowledge as possible. Some of the great barriers that companies face when they're thinking about exporting is absolute fear. Fear that it's a different culture, fear of misunderstanding of what their market is and how they can actually exploit it. So the education of that marketplace is absolutely key, because once companies start to export, they actually realise that those challenges aren't insurmountable and they can actually make some decent profits by taking on these new markets and these new opportunities. If you want to overcome these challenges, the most significant thing you can do is do decent research. And we are extraordinarily fortunate that UKTI does have a very aggressive and a very positive service, where not only can you understand your market, identify potential customers, but then link that with the export credit guarantee, you can actually have that assurance that you're going to get paid. The government is doing a lot to encourage export, and it can always do more of the same. Interestingly, the UKTI has actually got one of the highest feedback scores of any government department amongst IOD members, something like a 60% satisfaction rating. So what it needs to do is continue doing more, educating our members on, and all of British business, on how they can export, making sure they understand the risk of export, but then following that through with the Export Credit Guarantee Scheme, making sure businesses understand how they can use that to assure that they're going to get paid.